I'm Zaman, this is Best Hombre, and this is my 2014 Audi A4 with a 6-speed manual transmission, quattro all-wheel drive, a 2-liter turbocharged engine, and I've had it for 5 months now. Let me tell you what I think. Before we get started, let's talk about today's sponsor, and that's Western Rise. Western Rise actually I've been working with them since November of 2019. They provided me this jacket right here, and I've been wearing it like almost ever since. It's amazing. It has multiple pockets. It temperature regulates. It's thin, looks nice, and it's still functional and breathable and keeps you warm. It's a very interesting layered technology, and it has an interior pocket for my wallet, which I love, and it's big enough to fit something else along with my wallet. It has these top pockets here, which are great for storing random little things as you're going about your day, and these big front pockets that'll keep you warm. And they're so big that my 12 Pro Max fits in just perfectly. You know, you barely even see it in there. It has been my go-to ever since. And when they reached out to me about their new Spectrum joggers, I said, oh yeah, send them, please, bring them. And they've been awesome. They're a little more durable than like a typical like polyester jogger, and they're full 4-way stretch. You get breathability, durability, and stretchy comfiness in something that kind of looks like a chino, so you can wear them out, check. You can go to a business casual office, check. You can just hang out at home and be really comfortable as if you were wearing sweatpants, check. So I mean, there's really no downside with this. They have really big pockets in the front. There is no zipper, if that matters to you. And you know, Western Rise is they're focused on basic sustainable products with technological features that are going to improve your life. And honestly, the past 2 years I've been wearing this coat, it's been fantastic. I have like 15 other coats. It's not like I needed a coat, but this coat really is a go-to for me. I like grab it every time. It's so easy. It's so breathable. It's so comfortable. I can sleep in this thing. It's really like whatever they got going on in here with the temperature regulating, it's fantastic. Hit them up, Western Rise, links below. Now back to the Audi. This 2014 model, the Audi A4, is their facelift version of the B8 style, so it's coined the B8.5. The B8.5 has a different front fascia, different headlights, different hood, different front fog lights. It looks much nicer, I think. So this one is even just the halogen kit. It doesn't even have the full like lighting package with the projectors and then the cool lights. I wish it did, but I'm not missing anything, honestly. I have really high-end Philips Extreme Vision headlight bulbs in here, and I have LED fogs that are helping illuminate the night when I'm out and about. So other than that, the front end it's a good-looking car. It is. It has its moments. And this is low, but not that low realistically, although I can see that the previous owner has hit it on something. Coming around to the engine bay, there's not really much to talk about in here. This is the same 2-liter turbocharged engine that they're putting in a lot of their products, whether it be the Volkswagen GLI, the GTI, the Audi A4, the Q5, the A5. You'll find the same power plant in many of their products, which means two things. One, when there's an issue, it's across all of their vehicles. Number two, somebody's probably already figured out how to fix it. So you could figure out anything on the internet, and most specifically, you can really figure out almost everything with this engine if something goes wrong. It makes it really fun or easy to maintain for somebody who's going to have this way into the high mileage, because there's plenty of YouTube mechanics that have figured out how to do almost everything, rip it apart, put it back together, how to diagnose this and that. So if you're having an issue, you can pretty much, you know, unlike some cars where the user base isn't interested in doing any of those things. And so because the user base is really just awesome, this is a great car to own well into the high mileage, although reliability wise I don't know if it's the best, most reliable engine, but I do know at least you'll be able to figure out how to fix it. This is like the power connection if you were going to jump the car, but the battery's in the trunk, so this is just a connection to the battery that goes through the back. As you notice, there's no battery here. It's transversely mounted, which gives it a little bit better weight distribution than the 4 front-wheel drive ones that would put it this way, so that it would distribute the weight between the 2 front wheels. This kind of more evenly distributes the weight long ways. even though this is a 4-cylinder engine, there's a lot of room to work here. Not so much up here, but there's a lot of room to work here and a lot of room to work here. So when you are working on this car, you do get a lot of, it won't be too bad, at least. I've seen worse, it won't be too bad. Some of these things being hidden sucks, because if you want to look at it, you kind of have to really like take the dipstick out. The washer fluid reservoir is not a big deal, but the brake reservoir might be important. Might be important. So this car in particular was supposedly a Florida car, although I do see some corrosion and rusting. Maybe it was a Virginia car. It was a Florida, then a Virginia car, and I guess in Virginia some parts there is snow and salt that creates corrosion. The aluminum block has some corrosion on it, and there are some things that have rusted. Bolts, nothing body related. The body's fine. You don't really see rust in cars like this. The way that they paint them from the factory, you just don't get that. When you're sitting inside an Audi A4, it's pretty much the same dashboard you're getting on any of these Audi products from this generation. From here to here is like the same. And your cup holders are here. And then there's a little slot for, I like to put my wallet here, or sometimes my phone if I'm not mounting it, whatever. There's a little smoker's package. I don't smoke, so I don't use it, but it's cool to play with. There's an open button for the SD slot, so right under the CD slot. This one has the 3G MMI navigation system, which is great. It works. The radio's fine, the media's fine, it does Bluetooth media. You're able to switch songs from here. This little knob, you can just switch the song, change the volume. You could also go through and there's like functions where you can change music that way. So this Audi has like a 10-speaker system. The most prominent speakers that you're going to notice that's different from any other car is the center channel speaker, which is great for voice calls. It's great for listening to podcasts, and the rear deck subwoofer. It's not like an amazing thumping hard subwoofer, but it works. The other thing I really like about these cars, the doors close really nicely. I love that thud. There's something about a thud. Every time I listen to a car that unfortunately isn't German, or you get more of a think or a higher pitched sound than the actual like thud of closing the door here. Now this car has heated seats. It does not have a heated steering wheel, which honestly, like, come on, please hook us up. Heated steering wheel. I am 6 foot tall. These are the regular seats. They're comfortable, right? The only thing is I have about like this much space between where my actual thigh ends and where the seat ends, and I feel that on long drives. You feel like you wish you had that extension, and my old BMW had the extension. Some Audi sports seats have the extension. They should really just put that on every seat. Every seat that they sell, it would make everybody's lives better, especially tall people, I guess. Tall people's lives better. The bolstering on the side here, although it looks like it has some, offers very little to no bolstering on turns when you're taking this around a nice roundabout or something like that. You're gonna lean. You're gonna lean. Your passenger's gonna lean. You will lean. The other thing I don't like about this, they did away with the manual handbrake. Why? This is a quattro car. It's made to be driven in the snow. And I don't know about you, but I use the handbrake in the snow. I use it to rotate the car if I need it, right? So like you gotta hope that you're never gonna be in a situation where you're gonna need to rotate or emergency stop, because you're gonna have to pull this, or I guess emergency stop, you could probably use the handbrake, but if you're gonna pull it to rotate and then put it back down, you can't just pull it, put it back down. The car's gonna have a freak out because it's an electronic mechanism. But everybody's doing this now. And you'll find certain cars have stuck with the manual handbrake, things that are more, like the GTI still has it. Although the new Mark 8 GTI does not have it, which is shame on you, Volkswagen. The one thing about this car is that it doesn't have secondary air intake, right? So when you start the car, it uses software to rev the engine higher to warm up the catalytic converter. And once the catalytic converter is warm, it won't do that anymore. So I had warmed this car up before, and I just turned it on, and you could hear it just regular idle. This car has soft dash still. This is dirty, don't mind my dirtiness. Look at all that dust. But the dash is still soft. This is not. This is still very soft. And the glove box has soft opening. Look, it even resists me. It has a little sunglass holder. It has a valet button, which is nice if you're boosted and you don't want, if you have like a tune, you're pushing a lot of power, you don't want the valets to go joyriding in your car. You can turn the valet button on and they won't be able to really, it'll put the car in like a low power mode. It has here for your ID. It even has one of these guys, which if you don't know, it's a way for you to put in your key and turn on the car without having the actual key. So if you're in a pinch, look in your glove box. Just might have exactly what you need to start the car. And now if you look inside here, it has like a little key in there. That's programmed to this car. So you have this key whenever you need it. And then you have their Audi key. One second. So if you compare them, they're almost identical. One's a little shorter. Don't forget to check for this if you're buying this car. It goes in there. There's a little slot for it. 11. The amount of settings that you can do for this car through a software system like OBD11, very cool. You can have the lights change at different times. The windows can go up and down automatically with the key fob. You can lock the trunk so that the only way you can open the trunk is from the key or from inside. Somebody just walking by and you had your doors unlocked, you unlock the car, somebody can just run up and open your trunk. Nope, mine's locked. It only opens with the key and with the button on the inside. Now, what are some things that I don't like? Number one, Audi and Volkswagen have these like toy-like transmissions. They're great. They're great for just daily driving, but they're also like it's a little bit of a slop. And it's a long throw. It has a very long throw, and they're kind of like, there's so much play. I would really want something that's a little tighter and a little shorter, but what are you going to do? This is more comfortable. The clutch is another thing that's a very Audi Volkswagen thing. They're really soft, really nice to drive on a daily basis, but they don't give you that like sport grip, you know, like that. You can't really like launch it like you would want. Maybe with like a stage 2 clutch, something like that, you can just like rip it. And if you do anything with the power on this car, you're going to need to change out the clutch. That's the other thing. So if these clutches are really only rated for a little bit more than the power that this car already comes with, if you start adding power to it, you're going to end up burning the clutch real quick and you're going to need a new clutch. Other than that, the interior is a nice place to be. And it has like an Audi smell, which is hard to describe, but you know it when you smell it. It's pretty good. Whoa. If you're looking at one of these cars and you're hoping to carry some full-size adults behind you and you're also tall, that might not go very far. This is me in my driving position at 6 foot tall, and this is me sitting behind myself. I mean, I can sit here for maybe an hour, a 40-minute trip, half-hour trip, but eventually my knees are going to hurt because my knees are going into the back of the driver, and realistically, I have a little bit of headroom, but it is a little cozy back here, let's say. Now, you do have a rear outlet, which is nice, and storage for, I guess, your phone if you're sitting back here and lazy. These things are okay. They hold up pretty good. They were smart to put the indents in the back of the seat. These do have a little bit of a thigh support, but as you can see, because of the space issue, my thighs are not touching the seat. If you're looking at the center armrest, I always like to sit with the center armrest in the back. You have storage here, which typically is supposed to have a safety first aid kit, which I don't have, but it's now just become a storage compartment. And you have the older style, all the way back from the 2000 Mark IV Volkswagen Jettas and Golfs, cup holder. Now this is the upgraded version of that style, but those who have had cars with these cup holders knows that eventually you have to be very careful in how you insert and you know, and extract this cup holder, because at some point it's not going to want to go back in. Let's see if we can get it to mess up. Oh, it's not so bad, this one. But if you're familiar with these, you're also familiar with that it's not the greatest cup holder, and there's a chance that it will fail. Something to keep in mind, but it's just something for the backseat. I like to use these when I'm going on long trips to carry my extra drinks on road trips, but nonetheless, the other thing you got to watch out for when you're getting one of these cars, this is the premium model, which premium is in Audi terminology the base model. But this one is spec'd with split folding rear seats because of the cold weather package. Not all of the premium trim models came with split folding rear seats, and I could only imagine how much that would affect your usability of the car. The functionality of a car that you couldn't do this to is diminished, severely diminished. I mean, it's already like, you know, it's not a hatchback, so you're not going to get the, you know, the biggest storage capacity, but without being able to put the seats down, you really couldn't carry much, because the trunk, as we'll get to, has the walls blocked off. So the trunk is a little smaller than a typical trunk that you'd find in like a Jetta, you know, that has like the corners open where you can still stuff things throughout the whole trunk. Whereas this has like these like walls so they can keep electronics on the sides of the trunk. So you really want to have something that folds, so you can really put long things back here. I've fit some pretty long things, and it's been very helpful to have this split folding rear seat. Now, I was worried because I did hear that the premium models don't have them, but this one does, so I'm all good. You should keep that in mind. Being that this is a Quattro all-wheel drive, there is a hump in the middle of the rear seat, so you're not going to be able to really fit somebody in the middle seat that's very large. Now, for example, I can't even get my foot out of here. The only way I'm going to get out is I'm going to get out. Going into the trunk compartment, like I was mentioning before, you only get so much space because this has been taken over by electronics, and that side has your fuse relays. Although it has a little bit of an indent, it's still compromised. Now, the one thing that I really like about this floor is it has this handle, which is very intuitive, because when it closes and opens, it releases this little latch thing, and you can hang it up here. So you don't have to have this falling on top of you while you're trying to get to the spare tire, which this has a donut. It's not a full spare, but it does have a donut. Now, underneath that donut, for some reason, they decided to put the battery. And if you know anything about electronics at the bottom of the wheel well, there have been many cases in which, maybe not for this particular vehicle, water intrusion can become a problem in the wheel wells of trunks. Go open your trunk to look at the wheel well, see what you got down there. Things get down there, like there's some leaves down here, and sometimes water can get down there, and that can ruin electronics, and I know that's been a problem for a few other vehicles, so I didn't know why they would put the battery down there. I get it for the weight distribution, but I don't know if it's long-term. I guess maybe that's why it's, maybe they figured it out, maybe they got a good sealing system, maybe they got whatever, but honestly not where I would have put the battery.